Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to episode 1 of Weekly Rust Tips. The plan is to release a video every week and just give some tips for the game. The tips that are in each of the videos are going to be tips that I think of from watching the previous week's solo playthrough series videos. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out. I think this would be a good way to sum up the week and extract useful information from the longer videos. Some of the tips may be more obvious than others, but no harm in saying them, so I'm just going to say them. And anyways, let's get started. When you spawn on the beach, starting in a tree and begin crafting a spear to defend yourself immediately. Start collecting as much cloth as possible when starting off. Use the cloth for a bow, sleeping bags, bandages, and clothing. Make a sleeping bag as soon as possible. The closer you can set your respawn point to your ideal build location, the better. Also, give your bags appropriate nicknames. Nothing is worse than selecting the wrong bag. Also, I would codename them. I find that when I name a bag by something obvious like outside or a monument name, people are more likely to change it to something else. I don't know why they do this. I guess they think they're funny or something. Pick up every micronode that you see. They add up. Hit as many barrels as you can. They add up. They're a good source of starter scrap, rope, and a bunch of other items that can be recycled into very useful materials like cloth. Roads are a good source of barrels, crates, and toolboxes. Be careful hitting barrels in the same area, however, it is loud and leaves you vulnerable. Start collecting rope as soon as possible. You will need them for crossbows or compound bows. You can get rope from barrels and recycling sewing kits. Recycle sewing kits one at a time. The reason for this is the recycler will grind 2 sewing kits at once and give 1.5 rope per sewing kit, so a total of 3 when you do them 2 at a time. When recycling 1 at a time, it will round the 1.5 rope to 2 rope. Hit red barrels to get low grade for your first furnace. A furnace is huge for making your metal doors. You can also cook the crude oil from the red barrels using a refinery at a monument. The metal frags for the doors can also be obtained by recycling other items as well. Dome is a great place to hit red barrels, and there's 2 oil refineries here actually. And Dome is also worth climbing again thanks to the new minicopter changes. Little technique for this jump is to crouch on the far right corner of the platform and then just jump into the bar. It just makes the jump a lot easier. A fast way to get down from Dome is to mimic what I do right here. What I do here is I go between the 2 pipes, I crouch, I hold S against the actual spear of the dome, and as I'm sliding down, I'm constantly dragging down on my mouse and basically just trying to look at my feet the entire time down. And if you do it right, you don't take any fall damage. So it's a really quick way to get down. Hunt animals for food, cloth, and animal fat. Animal fat is used to make low grade. Food gets your health up, and you want your health to be as high as possible. You can get low grade at Bandit Camp. You can buy a tuna can lamp for 5 scrap, then recycle it there to get 5 low grade fuel. Look for stone nodes so you can make your starter tools. You can get food from food crates, eat mushrooms, potatoes, corn, and pumpkins. Mushrooms and potatoes can be found in the brown spots on the map. The snow is a great place for finding nodes. When starting off, prioritize the stone nodes until you get a tool. Do not hit metal ore or sulfur ore with your rock. It is not worth it. Only use a tool when mining these nodes. When you only have a rock, go for stone only. I say this because you do not harvest as much from the nodes, and it is not worth the risk of getting killed while mining them. Nighttime is a great time to farm. Be productive if you can at nighttime. Avoid being AFK at nights. Time is valuable. Of course, nighttime is a great time to take a break from the PC as well, but if you're just going to stare at your screen during the nights, you're wasting your time. When hitting trees at night, try to look out for the smoke and hear where the next X is sprayed. Try to hit it. It's not impossible to hit trees at nighttime. Hitting trees at night is probably my preferred activity to do at night. It's easy. You typically don't have to go far from base to find a tree. And honestly, there just really isn't anything else better to do. Be careful hitting trees at nighttime though. You are loud and vulnerable. Depot often. I'll depot after every 1 to 2 trees. Nothing worse than dying with a full inventory of wood. So don't let your inventory get full. You can hit loose logs at nighttime. They don't have an X, so they're just as easy to farm at night as they are during the daytime. And at nighttime, nodes won't have a spark to hit until you either find it or the node breaks down. When you do find the spot or it breaks down, just keep hitting that same spot to break the node as quickly as possible. You will lose a lot of health if you are too cold, so do not go into the snow during the nighttime without clothing. There are a couple of different ways to start a wipe depending on the day you join the server. So on a wipe day, you usually go for a bow and try to hunt people down who are farming for a base. And since it's a wipe day, lots of people will be farming for their first base. I will still collect stuff for a base, but just not focus on it as much. And then when I play on a non-wipe day, maybe a couple days after the wipe day, not as many people are farming for bases, so you will most likely need to farm for a base, at least in my experience. However, on these days, groups and good players will have guns, so you could try to snowball for a nice gear set to get started as well, if you prefer to do that. There are a couple of good options for base locations. Next to a river, you won't have to worry about food ever. Out in the middle of nowhere is good for a lower chance of just not getting stomped over and over again, and is good for going on long roams if you prefer those. I prefer to live close to monuments, and if I can, get a location where I can easily hop around different monuments to get key cards into the puzzle rooms. There will be more action doing it this way, but this could be a good thing or a bad thing. Living next to safe recycling is also a pretty good idea as well. Pre-craft the materials needed for your first base before constructing it, like doors, locks, a tool cupboard, building plan, and a hammer. Be careful hitting multiple trees in the same area. Hitting trees is loud and leaves you very vulnerable. Similar to trees, be careful hitting multiple nodes in the same area. You are loud and vulnerable. To start, I either make a 2x1 or a 2x2. I prefer a 2x2 if I can because I like the extra space, but to start, a 2x1 is perfectly fine. Know how much materials you need to complete your first base. Nothing is worse than starting to build the base and not having enough materials to upgrade the last wall, especially if this ends up getting you killed. I'm going to list off some requirements for some basic bases. This doesn't include costs for doors, tool cupboards, or locks. Just keep that in mind. It's just the structure of it. So a stone 2x1 is 558 wood, 3,345 stone. A stone 2x2 is 808 wood, 4,845 stone. A wood 2x1 costs 2,788 wood. And a wood 2x2 costs 4,038 wood. Flat land is good for building bases. You are less likely to run into issues when building on flat land. Build your base as quickly as possible. It may seem silly, but practice the controls of placing twigs, doors, locks, and upgrading. Every second matters, and it could be the difference between losing your starter base or keeping it. Upgrade the base walls and foundations first and place your doors and locks before the roof, you will be protected from all four sides faster, and in order for someone to attack you, they will have to either boost up using a teammate, horse, or a rock or something. Basically, if someone ends up getting into your base from above, from the time it takes to finishing your foundations, walls, and doors to completing your roof, you got extremely unlucky. Make an airlock for your base. This makes it so if you die with your front door open, like this, like if I were to die here, the person killing me won't have access to the rest of the base. There are two kinds of airlocks, triangular airlocks. There's one where the door opens to the right, like we have here, and there's one where the door opens to the left. With either of these, make sure the best practice is to make sure both your doors open into the triangle, like we have there, and how we have here. But the difference is with opening it to the right, if someone kills you with your door open like this, they can sit right here, and when you open up this door, they can come into your base. But when it opens up to the left, like we have on this airlock, so you come out of your base, open the door, you die, someone can sit right here, and when you open this door, they can't get into this space. So generally, make an airlock that opens up to the left. When placing doors, if the handle is on the left side, the door is going to open away from you. And if the handle is on the right side, it is going to open towards you. Just a simple rule to remember. Make sure your doors are opening the way you want them to. Do not make keys. If you are in a group, have whoever made the key locks stay in the base and operate the doors until you guys have enough for code locks. Upgrade your base to stone and get metal doors ASAP. Wooden doors and walls are easy to break, and depending on who sees it, they may try to work towards breaking it. I would say if you got a good start on a server and want to keep playing on it, do not log off until you finish this, but it's really up to you. People can see through wood floors, so try to upgrade to stone ASAP. People can peek to possibly see where your tool cupboard is at, for if they plan on raiding your base at a later time. Mark your base when you build it. It sucks when you can't find your way back home. Scan your base area for nodes and hemp and farm those. Depot often. If you farm something near the base, just depot it. You're right there. Dying over and over again with even just a little bit of farm adds up. Don't get frustrated. This game is not easy. Starting off on the server is the hardest part, and you are at a huge disadvantage if you are solo or going up against people that have been on the server for a while. Forget about what happened in the game earlier. It doesn't matter whether you won a 4v1 or you lost an AK to a bow kid. Forget about it. What you're doing at the present moment is what matters. This goes for everything, not just Rust. Don't bother picking fights with nakeds who obviously just spawned. What I mean by that is like rock fight them. Even if you win the fight, chances are you will still take a hit or two and lose some health. And when starting out, every health point matters, and it's huge. Avoid fights when you stand little to no chance of winning them. And I say this when you have a full inventory of valuables. Don't chase someone or be aggressive. Play defensively or passively. And you can argue against this. I'm just saying this when, if you have a full inventory of like materials to build a base, put a base down. Don't go chasing people. Caves are a good source of tools, low grade, and nodes. Rivers are good for finding food and getting more health. Bears will destroy you if you don't have a ranged weapon or high ground, so stay away from them if you don't have either of these. Be careful scaling cliffs. Fall damage sucks, and you want as much health as possible. When you have food in your hotbar, you can press the appropriate number key to eat it while still holding a different item. For example, you can have a bow out and eat mushrooms at the same time, or you can eat food and use bandages or syringes at the same time. Also, when you eat food this way, you don't have to open up your inventory, click the food, and then click eat. Crouching in this game makes your footsteps 100% silent. Even when you're up against a bush while crouching, the bush noises can only be heard by you and not other players. Horses are good for getting places quickly. Place a bag near your ideal build location when you get there. Pre-make arrows even if you do not have a bow yet. It saves you a little bit of time, which could save your life. Also, middle mouse clicking in quick craft queues up 5 items to craft instead of just 1. So for example, middle mouse clicking arrows once will make 10 arrows with 1 click. This will save you 9 clicks. Bandit camp is a safe zone. You can hit barrels, hit nodes, and hit trees with a rock at bandit camp. You can find hemp and food crates at bandit camp. There are micronodes at bandit. Bandit camp has a recycler. You can comfort heal at bandit camp. And I said earlier that hitting metal ore and sulfur ore isn't worth it when using a rock, but at bandit camp you can go for it if you want to. You still won't harvest as much as using a tool, but no one can hurt you while you're doing it at bandit camp. Outside of safe zones, I still don't think it's worth the risk. Keep an eye out in the bottom right of the screen when in a safe zone to make sure you're still in the safe zone. And hold onto your rock when you're starting off in case you end up getting to bandit camp without any stone in your inventory. Because like I said earlier, you can hit a bunch of stuff and collect a bunch of stuff with a rock. And I mentioned when you have no stone because if you do have stone, you can just craft a rock for 10 stone. The boonie hat and bandana can be crafted if you have a skin for them. At the time of recording this, you can get a skin for both items for less than a combined $2.50 US dollars. These 2 items offer the best head protection for just costing cloth and needing no workbench. I would say if you play this game a lot, you should definitely pick up these items. Okay, so here's a tip on how to place boxes. What you're going to want to do is, once you figure out what orientation you want it, so you can either have it this way or this way, what you're going to want to do is push it into the wall so it's red. And as you come out with it, you want it to come out nice and uniform. So what I mean by that is I'll overemphasize for a sec. So if you hold it crooked and see how when I pull it out of the wall on the far back left, it goes up and down, up and down. You want that to happen on the left side and the right side at the exact same time. That shows that it's perfectly lined up with the wall. So what I'm going to do is, you're still coming out from the left or the right, you want to rotate the opposite side. So for example, this is coming out on the left too much, so I want to rotate right. Still to left, so we're going to rotate more to the right. Still need to rotate right, and here we go. So once you like pretty much find it, once you get to there, you want to slowly pull back only. Once you get here, push it up into the corner. And then push it forward and into the corner. And click. And then that's a pretty good placement. And in this case, I put it between the tool cupboard and the wall. You can get it more perfect probably, but that's not bad. You can bind a key to be your hover loot key. What this does is allows you to loot items by just simply dragging your mouse over the item while holding your hover loot key. It makes looting faster and easier. The default keybind is H, but I have mine on a mouse button. Try to prevent people from knowing where you live. Some people are really weird and will kind of harass you if you end up killing them and taking their stuff in a video game. So yeah, just try to avoid that if you can. Keep your inventory organized. Know what you're going to dump if you kill a guy who is absolutely juiced. Try to save food if you can. Save it for when you respawn. If the food offers heals and your health is maxed, then save the food. If not, eat the food. Be nice to people who kill you. They might help you out. There's nothing wrong or toxic about someone killing you in a video game that has a lot of PvP in it. Of course, there are some exceptions like constant roof or door camping, but for the most part, be nice. Don't trust anyone from the get-go. Sometimes people are being cool and actually want to help you out, but most of the time they're up to no good and have a plan to do something else. A typical starter set that I'll run when starting off is a bow, no clothes, some sort of tool, and 3 bandages. I will use cloth that I find outside to craft more bandages and use those until I get to full health, and then I'll use other cloth that I find after that to craft clothes. If I have clothes and base, I will take those out to start if I have full health. I generally don't craft clothes with cloth in my base if I'm running a bow, especially in the beginning when finding cloth is a pretty big deal, unless I really want to go somewhere where I need radiation protection. Get your health as high as possible before leaving the base. Do this by eating food, and if you can, comfort heal by sitting in a chair. The summer DLC has a craftable chair. You can use this chair to comfort heal. No blueprint is needed to be found to make this chair. Sometimes F1 killing can be used to get more health or food. You can respawn on demand by pressing F1, then typing kill in the console, and then hitting enter. You can drag with middle mouse button to split stacks in half, and this works with any item that stacks in your inventory or in chests. You can also hold shift and middle mouse button drag to split a stack into a third. This trick is useful for when you're filling up small furnaces. So what you're going to want to do to split this 600 into 3 even stacks is you're going to first use shift, middle mouse button to split it into a third, then use the remainder and just use middle mouse button to split that in half. So now you have 3 even stacks. You can do this with all the ores. Now for wood and furnaces, what you want to do for metal ore is take the stack size and multiply it by 5. So in this case, 200 times 5 is 1,000. And the highest stack size for wood is 1,000 on vanilla servers. So if you have stack sizes that are higher than 200, just throw 1,000 in there. For sulfur, it's going to be 2.5. So a quick trick to do the math is just put 2 stacks together, split the other stack in half, put that half on the 2 that you put together, and that is 2.5. So 335 wood is what you need. So what you're going to want to do is resplit this into thirds, put 335, and you're good. High quality metal, similar to the metal ore, but you just multiply it by 10. So 10 times 10 is 100. Water treatment plant is a great monument for when starting a server. There are plenty of crates, oil refineries, and most of the areas are accessible with no rad protection needed. Use the cliff at water treatment plant if you can to scout the area out for enemies or crates, and leave a bag near low rad monuments like this one. You can spawn in and attempt to loot it with only a rock and a torch with no issues. The locked crate takes 15 minutes to unlock. If you can, set a timer for the crate. Make Iokas, they can be used to make some really big plays. I will generally only keep gun parts if I have the BP for the gun, and then I'll recycle them otherwise. SMG bodies or rifle bodies are more rare, so sometimes I'll hold on to those even without the BP, but it's really up to you. In the sewers, there are spots near the openings where you can sit and see clear as day, and others won't be able to see you from a distance. And then finally, for the last tip of the episode, if you are getting door camped, just spawn somewhere else, anywhere. Spawn on the beach if you really need to. Try to gather some stuff and make your way back to the base and just hope the person door camping you gets bored. Yo, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the rest of the channel and the other weekly Rust Tip episodes. I stream on Twitch, so check that out as well. Join the Discord, and if you want to see more videos similar to this one, be sure to subscribe. Also leave a like, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave a comment in the comment section below. Thanks again. Peace.